Yes, it is a little bit late for an E3 video, I know that, but this script is lying around for a while now, like many others, and I want to stop having to throw them away because I can't find the time to record them and edit a video together. So I won't worry if this is a little bit outdated. Most of the games we are talking about are not out yet, so hopefully someone out there will find some enjoyment out of this video. So, Ubisoft. I'm not a big fan of them. I mean, look at the logo. It is like a whirlpool or a black hole that sucks every creativity and innovation out of you and just destroys it. The games are fun for a very short while, and then they just get repetitive, boring, shallow, uncreative. I'm sure there are tons of other adjectives fitting every Ubisoft game ever made. And every time they have a good idea, for once, Ubisoft just runs it to the ground by creating sequels over sequels and just copying their own work over and over again. That's why I like to call them Ubi copy and paste soft. So let's go into the conference. Maybe we will even see something creative by Ubisoft for once. We start with a dancing panda. I mean, okay, Let's Dance is a thing, and you have all the right to promote your game. Couldn't you just left it with a song between 2 and 3 minutes? Then the 2 persons in your audience excited for a game like this would have gotten enough out of it. There was no reason to stretch it this long. I mean, what's wrong with all the music this year's E3? You guys know that people come to you with conferences to see some games, right? Anyway, let's move on. Between Good and Evil 2. I know many of you are excited for this game, and I mean, yes, the trailer looks great, or I mean at least the cutscenes do. But aren't you at least a little bit worried that we didn't see much gameplay yet? Also, don't forget this is an Ubisoft open world game, and all Ubisoft open world games follow exactly the same formula, despite the genre. Can you even give these games a genre? Because it seems for me Ubisoft wants to destroy every niche they touch and make their games into this genre-breaking soups that attract as many casuals as possible, but makes the games shallow and boring like hell. It's very ironic. By trying to make games for everybody, you actually create games for no one anymore. I was bored by Ubisoft games years ago. I completely gave up on their old IPs when Far Cry 4 came out, and I realized that the game was a completely reskinned version of Far Cry 3, and don't tell me otherwise. Don't tell me these are different games. All the game mechanics are exactly the same, from liberating outposts to climbing towers, from all the perks you can learn to crafting bags. Everything is fucking the same. And up to last year I actually gave Ubisoft's new IPs a chance, but no more. I won't buy these games until I'm certain it is a completely different game experience than all the other poop that came out of Ubisoft's ass. Then they talked about Rainbow Six Siege, and I couldn't give a fuck about their old games. Oh, I'm sorry, I mean services. So let's move on. Trials Rising. This is the most interesting game in the Ubisoft lineup. The Trials games are honestly very fun because they don't try to break out the niche and go open world and shit like that. But here is the but. Does this game look in any way different than the old ones? Not really, and here lies the second problem I have with Ubi copy and paste soft. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Assassin's Creed Revelation, Far Cry 4, South Park The Cracked Butthole. What do all these games have in common? And I'm certain I missed many more games like this. Is that they offer the exactly same game experience as the game that came before them. They don't fix it what isn't broken. I hear some of you screaming, and you're not completely wrong. Before DLCs and all this crap was a thing, developers cashed in with so-called expansion packs. I think Age of Empires 2 had a very prominent expansion. I would say crashed in is the wrong word. Gamers liked the game and wanted more of the same experience, and developers gave it to them with expansions, so everyone was happy. But here is the difference to the garbage that the Ubisoft does. These games weren't labeled as sequels, and they didn't sell them for a full price game. It was clear this is an expansion for the game. you already own, and it is more of the same game experience. Sequels shouldn't be just more of the same game experience. Sequels are new game experiences that have familiarities to the games that came before. Everything else is just lazy and not worth my money. But exactly that is the sad reality we are facing with all the franchises popping up everywhere, and it is not only Ubisoft that does that, but they're definitely the worst offender, and honestly, the games aren't even really good from the beginning. Games are not made for gamers anymore. So now I'm in a bad mood and I don't have to think Ubisoft can change them. So let's move on. The Division 2, they can't be serious. What's happened to games as services? How is that possible if you go on shitting out sequels after sequels to still call these games services? First bringing out the buggy shitty game, then needing a year to make the game playable, and after getting applauded by gamers for listening to their community, you just start the cycle again. First Ubisoft, you are a billion-dollar company, you don't have the right to bring up the broke game. There are things like closed beta, open beta, and you have more than enough money to test the game, so you certainly won't get any applause from me for fixing a game that shouldn't have been broken from the beginning. Anyway, I'm not interested in multiplayer games. If they are good for you, fine. Next. Mario Rabbids Donkey Kong. I think it is a DLC or something like that. I'm not too sure, and I know there are people that like these games, but man, these rabbits are annoying like hell, so for me, whatever. So now, let me tell you a little story about the small gaming company, let's call them for no particular reason, Ubisoft. Ubisoft had once a great idea for a game. It was a premise that could have been the most amazing and entertaining game ever. It was about assassins in medieval time. Simple but effective. What did they do? They fucked it up big time. The game called Assassin's Creed came out and it was just a very flat and boring game experience. So every other game company would just say, okay, we made a bomb. Let's learn from this experience and let's move on. A bad game can happen. That's what game design is all about. Sometimes you have to take risks and make a flop. Hey, we talk here about 10 years ago. I know today no one takes any risk anymore, and that's why game design changes are so freaking slowly. But that is not the story here. Then Ubisoft did not what everyone else would have done, and instead they went to the devil and told the devil, make our game great, and for that we offer you all our virgin daughters. The devil answered and said, sorry guys, your game is so bad, not even I can make this into a good game. But I tell you what, I can make it at least in a better game, and I promise you people will love it for that. I don't want your daughters, what I want is every creative and innovative idea all you employees will from now on have. And the Ubisoft said, okay, and some of them were even happy that they didn't have to offer their daughters. The devil kept his word, did everything in his power and created Assassin's Creed 2, a mediocre game that, however, improved every aspect of the first one and people were pleasantly surprised. Hey, this game not totally sucks like the first one. And the game was a success. Ubisoft was completely excited about that outcome. They couldn't believe it that people actually liked their game, and they wanted more of this success. Problem was only, how could they make the game better, without any creativity or innovation? So they didn't, and just made the same game again, twice. But Ubisoft knew they couldn't do that forever. They knew they had to try something different, until they tried, and created Assassin's Creed 3. But because they didn't have any creativity or innovation left, this game sucked even more than everything that came before. All new ideas that actually weren't really new, but stolen from other games, and everything even worse and more boring. So now, God looked down on Earth, saw the terrible game Assassin's Creed 3 and felt pity for poor Ubisoft. He knew they made a pact with the devil, but the game was so bad that God went down to Earth and to Ubisoft. So God said, my children, I can see you suffering what is, by the way, your own damn fault, idiots. But I will give you one small present. Use it wisely. and God gave them one creative idea, one only. And you can say about Ubisoft what you want, but they actually used this wisely and made Assassin's Creed Black Flag with the one new game mechanic that people actually liked. For the years and many mediocre games passed by and Ubisoft looked at their games and said, we need a new IP. I know there is no one here that has any creativity or innovation left, but we need something so people won't realize that we totally suck. And they were thinking and thinking and thinking, and after a long time someone had an idea. You guys remember Assassin's Creed Black Flag and this one game mechanic that was sent us by God? And everyone said, oh yes, what about it? Let's make a game out of this mechanic, and everyone agreed. Fast forward to the present and now we got Skull and Bones. End of the story. I'm not too interested in this game at all. You may now argue because of my little story here, but actually that's not entirely the case. The game looks pretty fun, but there is the multiplayer factor. It just doesn't look like a game you could enjoy on your own. If this even is a possibility. But I'm sure that many of you are looking forward to this game absolutely because Sea of Thieves was so disappointing. I have no idea what deal Rare has with the devil, but it seems to be way worse than Ubisoft. But that is kinda how Ubisoft works. This game is meh, but hey, at least it is better than something that came before. Next game on the list is Transference VR. So normally I'm not a big fan of this interactive movie like Telltale games and shit like that. And what Frodo was talking about seemed kinda going in this direction. However, I could very good imagine that this game type could be a lot more interesting in VR. However, the trailer didn't tell me too much. Right now this game looks like Child Molester Simulator in which you are the child. That doesn't sound too fun to me. But I will look out for this game in the future. It got my interest. Then we have Starlink, and I'm personally not too interested in spaceship combat. The character design looks also way too Fortnite-y, and I don't think the story will grab me with that kind of look. Plus it seems that there is only one platform this game may be worth buying, and that is Switch. For Honor got a new faction, some new game modes, nothing that will make me buy the game. The Crew 2. I'm not into racing games, and a racing game in combination with an Ubisoft open world format sounds like the most boring thing in the world to me, so no thanks. The last game in the list, of course, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So first, 300. Really? How old is this movie? Who the fuck, after such a long time, gets excited to see a 300 preference in a game? As Ubisoft, do you guys really have absolutely no creativity left that you really need for this inspiration to get anyone excited for your crappy games? Anyway, what did they show us? First, they make a really big deal out of the fact that we can now choose between a male and a female character because we never have seen this before in a game. Well, at least not in an Assassin's Creed. And you know, everything that is slightly different in this fuckfest of a franchise has to be celebrated.
And you play that character for the entire game.
Well, I give Ubisoft at least 1 point, because we have the choice of a male character and not 2 female characters. I just say that because not everyone managed to do that, and fucked even this up. Anyway, we see gameplay and the second and also last difference to Origin, the unbelievable creative game mechanic of dialogue choices. Wow, amazing! This will change gaming forever. Fuck off. More gameplay, and the first thing that caught my eyes was how similar the HUD feels to Origin. I didn't play 1 second of Origin, so I could be wrong, but similarity I can see is just another joke from me. Also, the animations are just bad. I think some of them are still from Assassin's Creed 2. There's hair just spamming through bodies and shit like that. But what do I know? I'm looking to blast full of fate for this garbage franchise. So after some irrelevant scenes, we come to this big epic battle, or at least Ubisoft seems to think it is epic. In reality, it is completely lame, boring and unexciting. All the NPCs are just stuck in a fucking animation loop and probably don't even hurt each other. They only break out of their patterns when the play comes closer. And of course we end the trailer with the scene in which the female character smashes the balls of a muscular man that is 2 heads bigger. We'll talk shortly about that. But first will I buy this game? And if you just listen to 1 minute of this video you probably know the answer. No, I won't. That is not fair! I hear you scream. They changed the franchise with Origin! And yes, they did, but that doesn't mean that it is okay to go back to annual release and just shit out every year for the next 10 years a new copy of Origins like they did with Assassin's Creed 2 and all the games that followed until Origin. In this way I don't understand you guys at all. You're paying customers, it is okay to expect more from the product you pay money for, and it is okay to complain if you're not happy with your product. Why are you guys just accepting the shit that Ubisoft does? Whatever. It's busting balls time. So first in Assassin's Creed Odyssey you can be a female Spartan warrior. Let's take a look at 300 for a moment, and that a scene that comes shortly before the famous Spartan kick the messenger in the well scene. Then before that the messenger gets upset because Leonidas' wife is arguing with him and he doesn't like it when a woman does that, and we established that the Spartans see their women as equals because they give birth to strong warriors. A very plausible explanation that shows that women can be strong in their ways without having to compete with men. But how plausible is it that Spartan had female warriors? Probably about 0%. You see the Spartans fighting tactics was all about muscle strength. The phalanx or their famous shield wall was only good when the men holding the shields were strong enough to stop the enemy force. If they had a woman in their ranks, the wall would probably or even pretty sure break with her the weakest point. So they will never ever do that. Hey, don't be angry at me, this is just the fact that men are physically stronger than women. Yes, a trained woman can be stronger than an untrained man, but never stronger than a trained man. This is just biology. I can't change that, and I'm sorry if you're threatened by that. So it's not very plausible that they fought side by side. Maybe they had some separate squad or anything like that with only female warriors that completely different fighting style. But when we have established that the Spartans hold their women high because they gave birth to strong warriors, I don't think they wasted them in combat. But what do I know? Okay, this is all irrelevant. Then Assassin's Creed is a fictional game. It takes historical settings and bends them so far that they make sense with the game and the story. It is not an historical accurate game, so it doesn't matter if it was possible that there were female Spartan warriors. And hey, you are right, it doesn't matter. And hey, I'm all for strong female characters if they are written well. What I don't understand at all is why the female character have to compete with men's physical strength. Why do they have to be as strong or even stronger than men? It doesn't make sense. Female characters could have completely different skill settings, like instead of brute force, speed, better agility, or better distance weapon instead of hand-to-hand combat and things like that. This would take the gender completely out of the question. No one would select their character because of their sex, but because of the game style they prefer. This would make the game itself a lot more interesting. But hey, it's Ubisoft. You can't expect complicated things like that from them. So am I upset that there are female characters in the game? No, absolutely no. But the problem is how they present them and force them into their trailers. And with that we come finally to the smashing balls scenes. I mean, look at the whole thing. Of course it is not just a simple normal enemy she smashes the ball. No, he is way too big and muscular to be a real human being. Just to show you that women can easily outforce every man, whatever their size. What a big piece of shit. Just imagine the male character as a move that cuts off the tits of female enemies. Not that I have seen any female enemies, so much about diversity. And then show this instead and just think about the uproar that would have followed So in general, again, I have nothing about smashing balls. It would be maybe better in another less serious setting, but whatever. Again, I have the problem with how it is presented. And I'm sorry if you have the right to be upset about manspreading and bullshit like that. I as a man can be upset about this scene in the trailer. Of course, Ubisoft doubles down on it, they show more gameplay, and what a great opportunity to show the male character and possible difference between the female and the male. But no, we see more of the female character. Thank you, Ubisoft. But we are not completely finished with this video. There's one more thing we have to talk about that happened at Ubisofts E3 conference that completely blew my mind and changed my view of Ubisoft completely. It was when the CEO, or who the hell it was, that came at the end of the show on the stage and congratulated himself and his team for the show, holding his nose as high as possible and probably enjoying the smell of his fart exactly at this moment. Completely baffled me then. Up to this point I had the feeling Ubisoft is just copy-pasting their games over and over again because they were completely lazy and wanted to make money with the least effort possible, but I was completely wrong. Ubisoft is so full of themselves that they think their games is the biggest blessing humanity ever received. They think their games are so freaking amazing that it is enough to just reskin them over and over again, and that gamers just have to kiss their asses and throw their money at them because these boring fucking games are so amazing in their eyes. Ubisoft, you don't just suck, you guys are the worst. No, wait. That wouldn't be fair. I mean, at least you didn't tell me to fuck off if I didn't like your games. So you're not the worst. EA is still the worst. And that means I will at least consider to buy your games. Not like EA. If I see something that is interesting, I will seriously consider it. But that's the problem. At the moment, I don't see anything like that. With that, we come finally to the end of the video. Thank you for watching up until now, and I think there is a lot to discuss here. You can do that in the comment section. And please like this video if you want to Sparta kick me down a well. Thank you for watching.